Hello, my name is Abigail Francisco, and this is my fitness education presentation. Let's get started. So my client was Bradley. He is a 32-year-old male, healthy, moderate to highly active. For his health assessment, he filled out a Parkey form and did not indicate any cardiovascular conditions or risk, nor joint or muscular problems, so no injuries that would prevent him or postpone any kind of exercise program. For his movement assessment, he performed an FMS screen and received a score of 17, which is pretty good. So overall, he showed and displayed good stability and mobility. A couple, movements here that he scored a little bit low, but not too low. Nothing indicative of any gross limitations that were worthy of referral or postponing exercise. One thing that we did notice was his deep squat. He couldn't get all the way into full depth without the help of the FMS kit under his heels for a heel lift, indicative of a lack of ankle dorsiflexion, likely due to some gastroc or soleus tightness. So there are modifications, with the heel lifts that we applied for certain exercises like the barbell back squat. But other than that, he did pretty good. Now, his goal for his exercise progression program was hypertrophy, so muscle size. Again, he's an active guy, healthy, so just wanted the aesthetic of larger muscles. He is experienced in weightlifting. He has been since high school. Just as of the past year, hasn't been as consistent. 3-4 days a week. Or may have skipped a week or anything like that. So he is intermediate training status, and he completed 2 mesocycles, 8 weeks total, using a linear progression model. Now, for hypertrophy, studies have shown that moderate to high reps, 8 to 12, of 60 to 85% 1 rep max, and 3 exercises per muscle group show a positive relationship with growths in muscle size. So that's the criteria we used. In each week, each day, he began with an aerobic warm-up, and each week utilized a split routine to kind of disperse those energy demands throughout the week and avoid the fatigue factor in any one muscle group. And additionally, at the end of each week, he had an active rest day. So for hypertrophy, 1 to 3 days of rest is required, no more than 3 consecutive. And we wanted to avoid deconditioning, so that active rest day included foam rolling, stretching, some light aerobic exercise. Okay, the first mesocycle, so he's acclimating to lifting, reacclimating to lifting 3 to 4 days a week, or training 3 to 4 days a week. So we incorporated multi-joint exercises and compound exercises like the squat, chest press, shoulder press, lat pull down. And on the second week, we slightly raised the percent 1 rep max or volume to follow our linear progression model. Weeks 3 and 4, he still used the multi-joint exercises, but instead of those full body days, he did a push day, chest press, shoulder press, pull day, lat pull down, rows, and a lower body day. And again, that last week, week 4, slightly raising the percent 1 rep max or volume as we gradually climb up that mesocycle. So his second mesocycle here, he is now acclimated to regular exercise, so he's now at 4 to 5 days a week. The first 2 weeks, weeks 5 and 6, he performed an upper body day and a lower body day. Now, here he utilized some power exercises after his aerobic warm-up, so push jerk, push press, and then core exercises, the squat, chest press, lat pull down, and then single joint exercises like the prone hamstring curl. And again, that we're gonna do the same exercise program, but with slightly raised percent 1 rep max or volume for the 5th week. In the last 2 weeks, week 7 and 8, he now focused on specific muscle groups. So he had a chest, triceps day, and a back and trapezius and biceps day, and then a lower body day. Again, still using the power exercises first, so like a hang clean, and then core exercises, the squat, deadlift, lat pull down, chest press, and then these single joint exercises last, like the tricep extension or hammer curl. Again, at the last week, slightly raising the percent 1 rep max or volume. So that at the end of the 8-week cycle, towards the 8th week, his volume load quantity was high, so 70 to 85%. his rep volume was high, 10 to 12 reps in exercise. So at the end of his exercise progression program, he's at the higher end of the range that he should be at for hypertrophy. These next two videos show two exercises, a lower extremity and an upper extremity, that Bradley showed he struggled a little bit with, especially with higher loads. So I'll kind of sit back here while I play these. Hello, we're back here with Bradley. I'm active clinician. Today we'll be going over one lower extremity exercise that Bradley showed he struggled a little bit with throughout his exercise progression. That exercise is the single leg split squat. So to go over what that is, we'll start at the bench or the chair, take a moderate step forward, bring one leg back, the top of the foot rests on the bench or the chair. Now the deviations that Bradley showed are as he descended down into the single leg squat, he showed a little bit too much forward lean or forward inflection, and a little bit of this medial deviation or knee balance. And as he ascended up, he displayed a little bit too much hyperlumbar extension. Now, to correct this form, what I'll cue Bradley to do is, as he descends down, keep the knee over the second and third toe, nice and over the middle of the foot, and keep the torso upright. As he comes up, keep the torso upright and not get into any hyperlumbar extension or pelvic anterior. So without any weight, I'll have Bradley do the single leg split squat with perfect form. So Bradley, go ahead and take a moderate step forward. And bring that one leg back behind you, top of the foot on the bench. Now go ahead and descend down, again keeping that knee along the second and third toe, and the torso nice and upright. And one more time, again, knee is nice and straight, torso is nice and upright. As he ascends up, he refrains from getting into any hyperlumbar extension. Okay, so now Bradley's shown that he knows how to do the exercise with good form. He'll execute the same exercise with a moderate amount of weight. He has 225 dumbbells, so 50 pounds. Go ahead and take a moderate step forward. Good. We'll keep that back leg on the bench. Good. And go ahead and descend downward. Knee nice and right in the middle. Torso is upright. Good. And one more time. Let's check out that pelvic alignment. Good. No anterior. Okay. And second video, upper extremity. Hello, we're here again with Bradley. In this video, we'll be demonstrating one upper extremity exercise that he struggled a little bit with throughout his exercise progression program. That exercise is the seated shoulder press with a prone grip. Now with this exercise, he's seated down, his feet flat, nice points of contact on the bench and the floor. He'll pick up the dumbbells, rest them on his sides. Now, the faults that Bradley displayed while he was using moderate to heavy weight were hyperextended wrists, he let go of his core, so ribs flaring out, or anterior tilts in the pelvis, and additionally, his arms do not track. So, show his fault or error. As he ascended up, his wrists came into hyperextension instead of staying flat. And as he pressed upwards, those ribs came out, indicating that he let go of his core, and that right hand traveled before the left. Okay. Now, to correct these faults, what I'll cue him to do is, as he gets into starting position, to make sure that those wrists are nice and locked and stiff in a neutral position, to make sure that his ribs are stitched and core is nicely engaged. Inhale to prepare. And as he exhales, make sure that those hands travel at the same rate and forearms stay parallel. Okay, so now Bradley has light weight, about 15 pounds. With this light weight, he'll demonstrate seated shoulder press, his hands in a prone position with perfect form. Go ahead and start. Good. Go ahead. As he ascends up, his wrists stay in that strict position, his ribs stay tight, no anterior tilt, and his arms are moving at the same rate, forearms staying parallel. Now here, Bradley has some moderate weight. He has about 30 pounds. and see if you can perform that same perfect seated shoulder press with his hands in a podiated grip. Okay. Good. As you can tell, it's a little bit heavier, and go ahead and press up. His wrists stay nice and strict. Core stays engaged. No anterior tilt. One more. Good. Those arms travel at the same rate. Forearms stay parallel. Okay, and that concludes Bradley's exercise progression program. For hypertrophy, focusing on large muscle groups. So to kind of wrap everything up, something that I can really apply to my own practice as an athletic trainer are the specific exercise program based on client goals. Now, what I often do with my patients, say take a soccer player, sprained the ankle, we have a common goal, and that's to get them back out on the field. But the client goal is something new. Give me something that you want specifically for yourself. And something that I can prove on while using that is technique and cueing. There's a difference between saying keep level hips when you're standing on one leg and saying something like, avoid sinking into your left hip or hiking up into your right hip. So that's something I can improve on, is the cueing aspect, or specific cueing for those that may not have the best body awareness. And the way that I'll incorporate that is just, practice it, incorporate it with my clients and my patients. And one thing that we did here is that quantitative documentation of progress. So, hey, showing my patient, you went from this percent 1 rep max or heart rate max to this percent. So that's something really concrete that they can see that they progressed on. Incorporating that into my practice. And lastly, I have a few biblical references here to apply to my practice and working in the field. Romans 12, 9 through 12 essentially 9 through 21, essentially describes Christ's love in action. So Romans 12, 13 says practice hospitality, and that's what we're doing in this field, or love in action. So Christ shared his talents and his skills to care for others, and that's really why we're taking this course, right? Is to gain the education and apply it to helping those in need, or using our skills to service others. John 13, 1 through 17 essentially says lead by service. Now Christ, in here, Christ washed people's feet. It wasn't beneath him to help others, and he led others through service of all, or leading by service. So lead by example through service. And again, no one or no service is beneath us. And lastly, Mark 1, 40 through 45, which is probably one of my favorites, is care for those who are outcast, even those who are outcast and unnoticed. And in this scripture here, Christ heals, people with leprosy. He, at the time, those society ignored those with illnesses. They assumed that these were bad people and that's why they were sick. But again, no one, these were outcasts and they were unnoticed, and Christ didn't care. He cared for them anyway. There was no one who was undeserving of his help. And I think that's really important to apply to our practice, is despite the patient, despite who this person is, they're always worthy of help, and they're always worthy of improving themselves physically. Now, we may not work spiritually like Christ did. He helped those, in action and service, and those who were unnoticed and outcasts spiritually, as well as physically. We work mainly physically. So just taking into all of these references, those who are unnoticed, leading our fellow peers by service, and loving in action, using our skills to help those in need, to help those seeking our advice. Really important in incorporating it in our practice and my practice specifically. Okay, thank you.